But you know who else I think is fucking up? The highly educated.
Talk to me about this. This is
The academics.
I agree with you on this, but
the academics, the people with PhDs and doctor in front of their name, because I'm learning that a lot of these people, they're not fluid in their thinking at all. And a lot of them don't have lived experience. They only have what they've read in these books and what they've learned in these classrooms.
there's an arrogance.
And
to
there's
that.
an arrogance
I'm a
to them.
doctor.
Yes.
At an Ivy League institution.
Yes.
Whatever I say must be right.
Yes.
You should all listen to what I'm saying.
Yes. There's a very low emotional intelligence to them.
Nothing.
And they really don't understand people. And I'm noticing that. And it's not even just people who major in something like, African American studies. I'm talking about the people that are psychologists who should actually know people. I'm realizing oh, you don't really know people.
They're also biased.
They're also people.
They also have a feeling inside and they just want to confirm. They built their whole academic career oftentimes on one theory. So their whole life is dependent on this theory being correct. So they're going to fight tooth and nail for it.
Yeah.
Even if everybody's like, that's not really how things work, and I don't think that that's going to function well in society. It doesn't matter. They know better, and they have that hubris, they have that arrogance, they have that ego to continue to push it through. I think you're onto something big.
And I think they're ruining things because they're supposed to be the experts. So if they're the ones that are actually sounding stupid to regular everyday people who have not had that level of education, it's like, well, what type of world are we living in?
And then they're educating these young, impressionable 18-year-olds.
Yes.
And now these 18-year-olds are pushing these ideas on these people who are like, I don't relate to those at all. What the fuck are you talking about? Why? And there's this huge chasm. The people who are the educated, privileged elites, if you will, and the rest of us who are like, what you're talking about maybe makes sense within like a hypothetical discussion, but doesn't actually function in society where the rest of us live.
Like you're a scholar.
But you think I'm dumb for not getting it.
That's right.
And it's like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, you're a scholar.
Yeah.
But you're not a thought leader. And the reason you're not a thought leader is because you're following these idiots' thoughts on social media. You can't tell me that you're an academic and you're at the highest levels of education, but you're following what people are saying on Reddit.
Yeah.
Like you're basing your fucking commentary off what bots might be saying to you on Twitter.
Yeah.
And how smart are you if you limit yourself to just this little small echo chamber of people online? Yo, get offline and go out and smell some air.
Yeah.
Talk to people. Add some lived experience to those book smarts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of looking at just statistics and numbers, go out here and have a conversation. Yo, we be talking about New York, right? And you live here in New York.
Of course.
Do you think New York is safe?
Yes.
You think it's a safe place?
No, well, but safe based on what I have known my whole life living here?
Yes, you live here.
Yes.
Safe right now in this moment.
I don't think New York is ever safe.
Okay.
But it's not that different from my experience growing up.
Boom.
I also live in an incredibly safe area in New York.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I also have a very low bar for safety. I grew up as like a kid getting fucking, robbed or getting into a little the experiences I had as a child are like nothing and most people have ever gone through that live in the suburbs in some comfy area.
Yeah.
But New York's definitely safer now than it was.
Than when we were kids. Absolutely.
But you have older people now who say otherwise because of things that they're seeing now. Because of the way they're seeing the city now.
But they're seeing more shit because of...
Probably social media, probably because of the news. Who knows what it is? All I'm simply saying is you'll have people who just simply look at stats, right? And they'll say, well, New York is one of the safest big cities in America. But does that mean it's safe? Or does that just mean crime is down from 4 years ago?
It's true.
During COVID. You know what I mean? I
also,
think I wouldn't use the words safe.
Perspective on safety is very important too. Like if we told women, this is a perfect example of that, about the stats thing and why the stats might not make sense. Men get in way more physical altercations than women. It's not even close. It is way more dangerous to be a man. Walking down the street as a man is 100 times more dangerous as a woman. There's way more chance some guy's going to bump into you,
right.
some guy's going to try to start a fight with you at a bar, et cetera, than a woman. That being said, if your wife or my wife or Taylor or anybody came to us and they were like, hey, as a woman, I just don't feel safe walking down the street. Even though the stats don't add up, we're going, yeah, because you know at any point in time, a guy might fucking grab you and drag you behind a car. They could.
You saw that shit that happened in the Bronx?
It was terrifying.
The fuck?
So it's like that the fact that those things could happen is going to play into your psychology. And if some nerd goes, well, technically, it's way more dangerous to be a man than a woman. You shouldn't feel unsafe at all. It's like, yeah, that's cute. Let me show those stats to the guy who throws a fucking belt around my neck and drags me behind a car.
That's right.
So I know this sounds crazy, but like sometimes the stats don't equate to what someone's lived experience is.
And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you'll have these scholars who look at the stats and the numbers, but they'll argue with people who actually live in these cities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the problem, I think, sometimes with being an academic or a scholar, is everything that you're saying is based off data, right? And numbers and statistics. I live here.
You see somebody
go argue about the
you see somebody get snuffed on the subway, right? The next day you got to take the subway in the morning and the night. What are you thinking about? You're not thinking about the
subway.
You're thinking about the guy getting snuffed on the subway.
But I think you have to combine both your feeling of your lived experience plus the stats. Because if you just go off your lived experience or your feeling, then that's wrong.
No.
That's the
1,000%.
online echo chamber that you.
No. 1,000%.
Yes.
I think it is a combination of both. I think that's what getting to actual truth is.
Yes.
But I do think what Charlotte's bringing up is like these people are doing a disservice to what it's like to exist emotionally in an environment.
Yes.
For example, like if you grow up in a rough neighborhood, you're used to some violence maybe happening around you. All of a sudden, you become a little numb to the violence, kind of like we did growing up. Like when all your friends get robbed, it's almost like a rite of passage. It's a crazy thing. Like every one of my boys got their North Face shit stolen in some way.
And you know
myself
where not
included.
to wear your North Face.
Exactly. So now all of a sudden, if my parents are like, do you feel unsafe? I'm like, nah, like this is just what happens. It becomes the norm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you compared that to someone in the suburbs who never got to worry about their jacket getting stolen, they'd be like, man, the city I would be terrified to be in a city. The stats don't line up. Yeah. And I think that's just what I imagine that's what you're trying to say. You've got to combine them.
And you cannot, people that have, it's hard to argue with scholars when all they keep presenting is stats.
They just show you this data as if the
experience.
data is the whole picture, but the data doesn't speak to what you feel emotionally.
And they don't like data when it comes to things that they want to be right. So if you're having this same conversation about, let's say, black people and police brutality.
Yeah.
First thing that a lot of people will do is show you the numbers, and they'll show you the numbers and say, hey, this isn't even really a issue. This shouldn't be top of the list, for black people. But you're like, no way. We've seen George Floyd, we've seen Sandra Bland, we've seen all of these things. It's the same scenario. But you'll have, and it happens all the time. Conservatives do this all the time. They're like, no, look at the statistics. The statistics say otherwise. But you're like, hello, McFly.
But here's the thing. You're showing me the statistics, right? I'm not saying you. The conservatives are showing me the statistics. But the statistics that my life is based on are how many times I turn on the TV and I see this happening to black people. So while let's say, for example, the TV showed the exact statistical analysis of how many black people are getting arrested and white people, or how many black people committing crimes, white people, whatever it is, like they actually showed it, then we might have a more reasonable concern about these issues. But if it skews in one direction, which I think it does, I think they have data for that, where like they're way more, they show way more crimes when black people on white people on TV than they do the other way around.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And why do they do it? The algorithm, right? They know what the people want. They're feeding into the fears of the people. White people, the majority, and their fear is that these dangerous black people are going to come.
Are they do it with Muslims? Are they do it with pro-Palestinian people now? Absolutely.
So even if the data says one thing, our data, the shit we're consuming on a regular basis, tells a different narrative. Yep. And our emotions are based on the data we consume. So show me this other bullshit data. That's cute. I've already seen this side.
That's right.
So don't talk to me about the data. Talk to the news corporations. Talk to these people that are disseminating this information that's creating that bias.
These news corporations do not care about truth. They care about immediate ratings.
Yeah.
Now they care about immediate engagement on social media. That's why there's no trusted outlets. Like right now, the era we live in, the only trusted people are going to be the personalities. Like there's not one institution you can trust for sure.
But you know what's so funny? Is it like
They're all businesses.
you saw like independent media, right? This is my favorite shit. Independent media went, you can't trust the news corporations. You can't trust them because they're biased. All they do is serve their base, and they will put whatever stories out there and information out there that will serve their base. And it took independent media 5 years before all of them started doing, not all of them, but a lot of them started doing the exact same thing, serving their base, finding out what their people want, continuing to, and you can look at creators online. You can look at how long they've been creating. You can go back to their early videos and you could see what they wanted to do when they first started their career. Right. And then you could see the moment they found the thing that got clicks and views and how quickly they changed that algorithm. You can look at your creators because there's a timeline of it. Some of them might even delete it because they pussy, but you can look at what they wanted to do in the beginning and what happened once they got views, and they start that grift and they start eating. But people are gonna find out about the grift.
Well, I don't think so.
I do, Alex.
Al, they already started to find out.
But I think there must be just like two different types of people. There are people that search out authenticity, and then there's people that just want confirmtion.
This is what it is.
Talk about, you know what though? Alex is right. And I'll tell you, well, both of y'all are right. But
I have a theory on this, but go.
The grift shifts with the wind. And what I mean by that is if you're giving people one thing, right? And people are eating it up. The moment you do something and then you go on Reddit or you go on Twitter and people start challenging you on that, then you start feeding into that. So you're constantly, it's like a restaurant where I can make whatever you want. I can make whatever you want. Like there's really no main dish. I can give you whatever you want. Like here.
Yeah, if you have no authenticity.
That's right. So you're it's a constant grift.
And that's what you got to be wary of. Those people who all they care about is the grift.
That's right.
But what I think will happen is I think that there were scams that worked when we were kids. Maybe it even worked on our generation.
Salute to all the Nigerians.
The Nigerians had those credit card scams, right? And it worked on our generation, maybe the generation above us. Mm-hmm. The next generation became privy to it. And they're like, oh, this isn't going to work. We're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. Our parents, that shit still works, but us, it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, you know how like a clickbait headlines really worked on our generation. Even maybe the generation below us, they really fucking worked. The generation below them, I've talked to some of the younger kids, right? Like, Shifty and the guys working here. They're already going into headlines assuming they're fake. So every generation starts to basically parcel through information and learn what is good and what isn't good, because it's not because they want it. It's because they look stupid when they believe it. And people don't like looking stupid.
They don't like looking stupid.
They believe a headline, then they tell their friends, and then the friends go, did you read the article? It actually says the exact opposite. And then they feel shame.
That's right.
And they feel guilt. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, maybe I need to start reading headlines.
That's right.
So you
are reading the story.
Yes.
You can get them once. You can get them twice.
But those are the people who surround themselves around people who are critically thinking. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people who just want the confirmation, and then they also surround themselves around all those same types of people.
Alex not wrong.
That just want the confirmation, so no one's ever going to point them out on the bullshit.
And I think that's the other thing too. That's why
you just got to seek out. Ideally, you seek out people that have the same curiosity that you have, that have the same like thirst for whatever it is you want. Like that's how I've always looked, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Just like we always say it about Brilliant Idiots listeners, we say it about Flagrant. It's just like we're looking for people who like having different opinions, like being able to bust balls, and also like to dream. Like these three things are really important to us. And I think that the people that are like real hardcore base are the people who dream, the people who make fucked up jokes, and the people who are not tied to one specific opinion.
That's right.
And they're maybe
willing to change their mind.
And I think casuals might pop in. Casuals might pop in. They might really like our rap discussion or something like that. But then they might be like, these guys dream too much. That shit is gay. Why do these guys want to achieve all this shit? These fucking gay dudes trying to achieve things and make things cool, but with their life or whatever like that. But the people that are maybe inspired by that are the ones that stick around and be like, man, these guys fucking, they just create some cool shit and they keep on wanting to make cool things. I like that. That makes me go. So I think at the end of the day, it's like, we'll take the casuals when we offer you utility, enjoy us, listen to what we do, but the core has to have those three things.
We are who we say we are. Brilliant idiots.
That's it.
Like, that's it. I'm not an expert at anything. I just got some experiences and I share my experiences. That's it. I have some feelings. I have some opinions. I share my feelings. I share my opinions. That's it. That New York Times article was the best headline ever. Charlamagne the God won't take sides. I fight myself every day to not be on either side because it's just impossible.
Imagine someone trying to make you take a side. Like,
it's wild.
How stupid is that?
It's
like,
wild.
You're basically going, yeah, we're not authentic. But it's better to be inauthentic on this side.
Man, in the middle is usually where the truth is.
Yeah, we don't think for ourselves. Hey, come over, but like, not thinking for yourself on this side is better.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, the truth is usually in the middle. It's not black, it's not white. It's always a shade of gray where you can get that real, honest, authentic conversation.